Welcome, everybody, to another episode for Geography. We are visiting today with one of our very own students, Sophia Harris. Sophia, welcome.
Thank you.
Sophia has been so great at talking with me about what she has done so far in her major. And so I guess maybe, Sophia, I would love to have an introduction about who you are and maybe what drew you to geography as a major.
Great. So I am Sophia Harris. I think I'm considered a super senior at this point, but I am emphasizing in global studies, and I chose that my sophomore year. I kind of came into BYU. I'm from Massachusetts, but I came into BYU undecided, and I thought that was kind of be my story for like my whole college experience. But I found nursing because that's what I did kind of at my tech school. And then I said, oh, maybe public health. But I really kind of took the chance in taking a lot of random classes that seemed interesting. So that's how I found Geography 120, Geography of World Affairs with Dr. Olson. And that was like a life-changing, I know it sounds crazy, life-changing, but it really was. I loved that class, and I realized that geography kind of has multiple aspects of things that I love, like history or sociology, cultures, even science. It just kind of is a nice melting pot of all those things that I really loved. And that's why I kind of drew myself to this major, just because it's so applicable to so many different career paths. And that's something that's taken a long time for me to realize, that it is applicable to multiple different areas or things that I can do. But it's really been a great experience for me in the geography department.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that as you've been talking, I can't help but think that there are a lot of students that are in a similar situation where they feel like they're bouncing around. And just as an advisor listening to your experience, I can't help but think this is actually quite typical. I think that there are a lot of students who feel like, oh, well, that's not my roommate's experience, or that's not my friend's experience in this class with me. They know what they want to do, but actually a lot of students don't. And so I just appreciate that you were so open about your experience, because I think a lot of students will be able to relate to that. So thanks.
Yeah, of course.
So my second question is, what are some things that you wish you would have known when it comes to preparing for academic and post-graduation success? You said a lot about learning about careers in the industry. So maybe give your feedback about what you've done to prepare, and in hopes that students will take that advice.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I was kind of a late bloomer in terms of trying to put myself out there. And I think that my like freshman and sophomore years were marked by a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of like self-doubt in terms of my own abilities to be, adulting, as people say. But I think that I wish I knew that I was so much more capable than I realized, as long as I just put myself out there, and how willing the staff and professors are to help students learn and grow and have those really necessary experiential learning experiences. Even just this last semester, the geography department is really good at sending out emails of different opportunities available for students. And that's how I got my research assistant job this semester, with Dr. Carey. And I was a little even apprehensive with that, because it's a lot of statistics, and I'm more of like the cultural global studies route. But that's another great thing about geography, is that you can be a global studies major emphasis, but you can learn so much from all the other areas in geography. But just being with Dr. Carey this semester has been such a great experience for me. Just realizing that there are actual like real world applications to what I've learned these many years I've been here at this point. But yeah, just knowing that there are so many more opportunities than we realize as little freshmen. trying to find our way, but just even the advisement center, or if necessary, like accommodations for different physical or mental concerns that you have. There's so many outlets for students that sometimes we don't realize initially coming into BYU, but just taking advantage of those, because my mom says, like, if you don't get help, then you're suffering twice. But if you just reach out and ask for help instead of being stagnant and floundering, your experience will be so much easier and less stressful. But yeah, that's at least what I wish I knew. But all of my experiences thus far have helped to build me here. So I'm not wanting to go back and change anything, but
That is so great. I love that you have been able to develop really good relationships along this path, and research assistant work and TA work and work even within the office, or even just getting involved, period. The experiential part of learning is a really valuable component. So I'm really glad that you touched on that. I think that's really important. So I'm curious to know, with the work that you're doing with Dr. Carey, and maybe the work that you've done so far and your academics and extracurriculars, what are your plans for after you graduate? And then how has geography prepared you for that?
yeah, I've had to come to terms a little bit with the fact that I'm still unsure about my post-graduation plans. For me, I've put a lot of pressure on myself to kind of try and have every single thing planned out. But I realized that that was like unnecessary pressure that I put on myself. And as long as I'm still trying to learn and grow, then that's good for me personally. I know that some people have very linear paths to, their career. But even just like the presentation you gave at the beginning of last semester about the geography department, and realizing that, a lot of people's paths aren't linear. And that's one of the great parts of, post-graduation plans, and just putting ourselves out there and, having a lot of different experiences or jobs. But that's what you can kind of put in your toolbox and, ultimately find where you're supposed to go. But yeah, for me, it's kind of a balance between me wanting to travel. As a global studies major, I have never been outside of the country, and traveling is something that I've always wanted to do, just being exposed to different cultures and learning more that way. That's why I'm trying to do a study abroad next winter, hopefully, but just learning, even if it's just more schooling. I love learning, so that's not scary for me, but I think there are ways to kind of balance things, and you don't have to choose one singular route for yourself. Just be open to different things that are available. So that's what I've been doing. It's still something that I'm a little bit concerned about, but I'm trying not to put too much pressure or stress on myself. And the geography department has been really helpful, just again with providing those experiences. And even just this last month, there was an internship opportunity that I applied for and I didn't get because I'm still in school pretty much full time right now. But there are just so many different startup companies. This one was really interesting, and they were trying to share geography with children around the world through an app. So that was just good for me to kind of launch myself into a possible future career. But there are just so many different routes you can take, and I think I'm just more optimistic about the things that I can possibly do, rather than having a set singular plan for myself right now. But
Yeah. And I think for some students that can feel overwhelming. Like I remember when Sophia and I first visited, there was this overwhelm of, but they tell me I can do anything with my major. But I kind of feel like, Sophia, from what I'm hearing, the more you've had experiences and the more that you've seen how geography is actually integrated into a lot of different things, the more exposure you've had to, oh, jobs exist here, I'm going to be okay. It's
yeah,
just a matter of opening yourself up to those opportunities through the experiences that you're having. Is that what you feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what suggestions then do you have for students who are going to watch this video who aren't sure what geography can do for them?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think just really coming to terms with what geography means. This is the whole time I've been in geography, every single class I've taken, they've emphasized the definition of geography and how, it helps us to explore and understand space and place. And that's something that's been really important for me, realizing that in the world, place is never going to go away because it's so important and impactful for people in the environment. It's always going to be an aspect of the world. So if they're afraid that their major isn't going to go anywhere, it's always present, it's always going to be present. So there's always going to be a place and a space for geography students. I am really grateful again to Geography 120 and just realizing that there are so many aspects of geography, human geography, physical geography, even just applying my global studies to my research this semester. And it was about mining deaths. And to some people that may seem totally unrelated, but these are things, as the world has industrialized, have been important to many different places in the world. So I think, again, just having those experiences, I feel like I'm running on about the same thing, but I think for geography majors to really understand that what they've been learning is important is to actually try and apply it to the real world. And it wasn't until last semester that I really started to understand that through just talking to professors and going to events, or, just keeping up to date with things that the department are doing. Because you're not really going to be able to learn anything or go anywhere if you just stay isolated. You really have to just spread your wings a little bit. And it's a little bit scary at times, but I'm just taking that initial step to grow and do things that are out of your comfort zone if you're more introverted like I've been in the past. But yeah, there's just so many opportunities. I just really want people to see the value of geography, and that I think it's a blessing for me personally to have it as my major. But I just really am grateful that I've been able to hopefully help somebody in this interview, especially those that are a little bit more apprehensive or uncertain about their futures. But knowing that, I was in kind of a rut the first time I talked to you, but in just a matter of months, I'm feeling really optimistic about where I'm headed with my major. So yeah.
That's amazing. And it seems like you've been able to kind of take life by the horns instead of not doing that,
Yeah.
instead of life taking you by the horns. And I think that that's really the value of learning, right? Is that the more there is something to be said about line upon line and precept upon precept. We wish that we knew where we would end up after we graduate, but most of the time we won't. But it's being able to articulate the value of your skills, the skills that you're getting in the classroom, and the experiences that you are having as a research assistant. And even just hopefully this travel study abroad for you will happen so that you can add that to your portfolio that make you a candidate for multiple adventures.
Yeah.
And you are kind of figuring out what those adventures are going to be. So thank you so much, Sophia, for your time. Is there anything else that you wanted to say to anyone watching this video?
I just really hope that people reach out. I said it a little bit in the beginning, but just taking advantage of all of the advisement and even accommodations that are available for students. I know that if I had at least communicated and reached out for help, that I would be in a lot better of a position now as a senior. and kind of suffered less a little bit my first like 3-ish years of university, but people are so kind here on campus and are really genuinely wanting people to succeed and, find their direction, and, the career path that is right for them. So just taking advantage of that and not being so scared of, the outcome and just trying our best, because, even if our best is 20% one day and 100% the next, it's still our best effort. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.